From supermodels promoting it on social media to exclusive private jets ferrying attendees, Fyre Festival promised the ultimate luxury music festival experience. But what actually happened on the Bahamian island of Great Exuma was a disaster that quickly devolved into a fiasco and captured the world's attention. Are you curious to know the truth behind the infamous Fyre Festival? Get ready to uncover the shocking truth behind the Fyre Festival disaster. The beginning Fyre Festival was the fake luxury music festival established by rapper Ja Rule and conman Billy McFarland. It was designed to advertise the business's Fyre app for hiring musical talent. The event was slated to occur on the Bahamian island of Great Exuma from April 28-30 and May 5-7, 2017. Social media influencers including Kendall Jenner, Bella Hadid, Hailey Baldwin, and Emily Ratajkowski, many of whom initially did not reveal they had been paid to do so, advertised the event on Instagram. The first weekend of the Fyre Festival was plagued by issues with security, food, lodging, medical care, and artist relations, which led to the festival's extended postponement and final cancellation. The luxurious villas and gourmet dinners that festival goers had paid hundreds of dollars for were replaced by pre-packaged sandwiches and FEMA tents. In March 2018, McFarland entered a guilty plea to 1 count of wire fraud intended to deceive investors and ticket buyers.
Charged with wire fraud in federal court, McFarland allegedly sent fake documents claiming the company made millions in revenue. He'd only earned less than $60,000.
As well as a second count intended to defraud a ticket vendor, both committed while McFarland was free on bail. McFarland was given a 6-year prison term in October 2018, along with a $26 million forfeiture order. At least 8 lawsuits were filed against the organizers, with one claiming more than $100 million in damages, and several of them requesting class action status. The organizers are charged with scamming ticket purchasers in these cases. Billy McFarland and Ja Rule put together the festival to advertise the Fyre music streaming service. Ja Rule got to know McFarland through his frequent attendance at functions that McFarland held at his former business, Magnes's.
This is Magnesis. It's the newest, coolest credit card.
McFarland and Ja Rule's private plane landed on a sparsely populated island while en route to the Bahamas, which they later identified as Norman's Cay, the former private island of Carlos Later Rivas, the head of the Medellin cartel. The present owners then gave the island to McFarland under the explicit condition that McFarland not mention Pablo Escobar, the head of the Medellin cartel, in any promotional materials. On Norman's Cay, a promotional video featuring hired supermodels was filmed, while festival preparations continued. A video with an orange square and a stylized flames logo was released to Instagram simultaneously on December 12, 2016, by Kendall Jenner, Emily Ratajkowski, and other influencers paid by Fyre. In the video, Bella Hadid is seen jogging on a tropical beach with other models who are signed to her agency. An immersive music festival, 2 transforming weekends, and on the edges of the impossible were promised in the text that accompanied the video. This marked the start of the Fyre Festival's publicity campaign, during which McFarland asserted that Pablo Escobar had once owned the island. In April and May 2017, the event offered day tickets for $500 to $1,500, as well as VIP packages for $12,000 that included flights and upscale tent accommodations. 33 acts total, including Pusha T, Tyga, Designer, Blink-182, Major Lazer, Disclosure, Migos, Ray Sremmurd, Kaytranada, Lil Yachty, and more, were included in the final roster that was publicly announced. All of the aforementioned bands withdrew in the days before the festival, while Major Lazer, despite being advertised, never confirmed their appearance. To make matters worse, the Exuma Regatta, a series of sailing competitions in the Bahamas that made the most of the island's lodgings, vacation homes, and resources, was scheduled for the weekend of April 28-30, when the Fyre Festival's first event was scheduled. Yaron Lavi, a seasoned event producer, was also engaged by Fyre in March 2017. He quickly realized that the venue could not accommodate the kind of event that McFarland and Ja Rule had planned. Days before the festival, Comcast Ventures reportedly contemplated investing $25 million in the Fyre app, which McFarland reportedly anticipated would enable him to fund the event. McFarland reportedly valued Fyre Media at $90 million, but when Comcast asked for proof, he reportedly was unable to offer it. One of the event planners later revealed in a piece for New York Magazine that there had been serious planning issues from at least mid-March. and that at one point, it was suggested they push back the 2017 festival until 2018. But the decision to proceed with the event as scheduled overruled these earlier preparations. It is stated that one of the organizers said, "Let's just do it and be legends, man." Later that month, Page 6 started covering reports that the festival's organizers were in over their heads and excessively chaotic. Investor Ezra Birnbaum helped McFarland acquire some short-term financing for Fyre after the Comcast agreement fell through, on the condition that the company repay at least $500,000 of the loan within 16 days. Initial visitors were taken to an impromptu beach party at a restaurant on the shore, where they were loaded with drinks and kept waiting for almost 6 hours while the festival site was being prepared furiously. To help build the property, McFarland engaged hundreds of native Bahamians. As costs got out of hand, organizers were forced to renegotiate the commitments they had made to the artists who would perform at the event. Later, passengers were taken immediately to the festival grounds by school bus, when it became clear that the lodgings were really no more than a collection of disaster relief tents with dirt floors, some of which had mattresses that were sopping wet from the morning rain. In order to register, festival goers were dropped off at the production bungalow, where McFarland and his team were headquartered. However, after waiting in vain for hours, attendees raced to claim their own tents. Even though there were only approximately 500 attendees, there weren't enough tents or beds, so people had to steal from one another. Due to the annual Exuma Regatta and the fact that it was peak season, attendees were unable to leave the event and travel to the surrounding Sandals resorts.
An absolute disaster.
The lone artist to play at the event was a group of neighborhood musicians who took the stage around dusk and played for a while. In the early morning, it was announced that the festival would be postponed and that the attendees would be returned to Miami as soon as possible. The Federal Bureau of Investigation was actively looking into McFarland and his accomplices for mail fraud, wire fraud, and securities fraud, according to the New York Times on May 21, 2017. The Southern District of New York's U.S. Attorney was in charge of the case. McFarland was detained on June 30, 2017, and one count of wire fraud was brought against him. In March 2018, McFarland entered a plea of guilty to 2 counts of wire fraud, one involving a plot to deceive investors, according to the U.S. Justice Department, and the other involving a scheme to defraud a ticket vendor. McFarland was given a 6-year prison term in October 2018, along with a $26 million forfeiture order. On July 24, 2018, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, revealed that McFarland, 2 businesses he founded, a former senior executive, and a former contractor, had reached a settlement to resolve allegations related to a complex, multi-year offering fraud that raised at least $27.4 million from more than 100 investors. McFarland agreed to a permanent director and officer bar, $27.4 million in disgorgement, and admission of the SEC's claims against him. Grant H. Margolin, Daniel Simon, Fyre Media, and Magnuses Inc. all consented to the settlement without admitting or disputing the allegations. Margolin has committed to a 7-year director and officer bar and must pay a $35,000 fine, and Simon has agreed to a 3-year director and officer bar and must pay over $15,000 in disgorgement and a fine. The event's caterer, like other Bahamian suppliers, was not paid. In 2019, a crowdfunding campaign generated more than $200,000 to make up for it. The Fyre Festival branded goods that McFarland had saved for future sale were auctioned off in 2020 by the United States Marshal Service, with the proceeds going to the victims. Let us know your opinion in the comments down below. Another story down, so many more to go. See you next time on Storytelling Gods.